Good afternoon, everybody. Keith Engle here for TGI Sports Talks MLB update. How are you? One show we did miss last week as we were on the road. Sorry about missing Sunday Stream of Consciousness and the college football huddle this week. I was going to put the huddle on hiatus, but so much going on. We're going to have at least one more show, if not a couple. I want to welcome everybody watching today on our TGI Sports Talk Facebook page, on YouTube, on Twitter, X, and also on Roku, National Streaming Sports Roku channel, which you're probably still seeing, I think, as Northeast Streaming Sports as it's being rebranded. So welcome all of you in all those places. To everybody watching on Let's Talk Sports YouTube page as well. Quick shout out to Ralph Williams over there at RW Media. No longer on the radio, but still broadcasting all of his content, including the Sports Corner, which he does Tuesdays from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern Time with Smoking Jim Frazier. Facebook, I think YouTube. He's working on a TV deal. I don't know who that's with, but Ralph does some great stuff over there. Check him out. DDH, thumbs up. And a quick thank you to my guest this morning on One-on-One with Keith Engle. My guest was Kevin Mensch, former Texas Ranger, Milwaukee Brewer were the teams he was most known for, but we talked about his stint in Japan with Hashish, I don't know, Tigers. We had an interesting conversation about steroids, about the rules of the game today and analytics. Kevin, we might have to do a paternity test. He might be my son. Kidding. Kidding. It was an interesting conversation. We talked about his career a bit, and obviously, and we had a lot of fun, a lot of interaction from the viewers. And listen, as I said last week, tremendous job, you guys, getting anybody who's sharing the show. Thank you. And if you're not, please do. Invite people to TGI Sports Talk. We're getting, oh my gosh, as I said last week, we had a week previous to this. We did 25,000 views of the shows that we did that week. That 7-day period, just on Facebook. That doesn't include thousands of views on X and YouTube. Well, tens of views. I'm not sure how to optimize YouTube yet, but we'll get there at some point. But thank you for that. And this week is shaping up again, even with fewer shows. I mean, it's still going to be a great week. And I expect this Kevin Mensch interview to really go over the top as well. And this show's done really well. We had, I think, 2,000 views on Facebook last week for this show. 3 o'clock again, live. Not so much. We go through maybe 50, 40, 50, 60 views live on any given show. Sometimes more. Sometimes we get into the hundreds on all the platforms. But afterwards, the after views are just tremendous. So thank you guys for anything you're doing to make that happen. We're going to talk about a few things today outside of Kevin Mensch's hat size. If you want to comment on today's interview, if you were there, I appreciate that. A lot of the viewers that will tune in here also tune in for those interviews, and I'm having a lot of fun. Next week, by the way, Harvey Williams, former NFL running back, also LSU star running back in his day. We'll talk about we'll get into the standings here in a little bit and talk as we do every week. We'll talk about things going on around baseball. Yankees still hot. Stretch, I think, to a 3-game lead now after going 8-2 in their last 10. Cleveland playing really well, 6 straight, 9-1. Who else is hot? The Phillies are hot. Cardinals are hot, coming back. Giants trying to get back in the race. Who's not hot? The Rays now 9.5 games back. The Mets are 15 games back. Tigers, my pick, starting to slide. The A's figured out they were the A's. Reds still struggling. We'll get into the standings in a bit. We'll look at this weekend's schedule and today's starters to kick off those to kick off those series this weekend. Is there any games being played now? There is not. We'll get into some news about Rob Manfred, views of what's going on with the uniform situation we can talk about. We can talk about Sacramento A's. He talked about a little bit. He talked about pitching injuries. A lot of things we've been talking about. He talked about the Olympics in 2028. Still a possibility there'll be major league players playing in that. I'm not sure how they're going to take 2 weeks off and go play baseball at the Olympics, but no robot umpires until 25. Sorry, there should never be robot umpires. We'll get into some news about the World Baseball Classic, which some of you guys don't like. I love the World Baseball Classic. I think it's one of the best things going. A lot of sites in the U.S. Going to be played. We'll even talk about some of these pitching. Listen, we talked about the Yankees, and I know JB from the JB, I'm going to screw it up if I try to say something. So I'll just say JB did call me out, probably rightfully so, for not being very high on my Yankees. They're playing good baseball. Luis Gil is really turning into an ace before our eyes. His command has gotten better. He got his sixth win the other night. Just playing really good baseball. Imagawa, I'll never say his name right. What's that? How do you say this guy's name? Somebody help me out. Drew, where are you? Amanaga, the Cubs import, pitching lights out. Ranger Suarez pitching lights out. 40th anniversary, by the way, of the Tigers going 35-5 to start a season, 1984. See how we can do math? Us Perth grads. I always bust us Perth grads, and we can do it all. I say we can't do math or English, but we do it pretty well. Steve Orpello, good afternoon, Stephen. How are you up in Perth, New York? Speaking of such, as such. By the way, my head's going to explode because I swear to God, every time I go to ESPN or The Athletic or wherever it is, I got to see articles with a headline of O'Neill Cruz. This is just one from today, right? Let me just read you the headline. Oh, my head. Is this where I read it? Or was it? Maybe it was on O'Neill Cruz. Puts on exit velocity show with 3 hits over 115 miles an hour. Who the frick cares? We talked about this morning as well with Kevin Mensch, our special guest this morning on One-on-One with Keith Engle. Nobody cares whether, even distances he was talking about. Who cares about if a home run goes 485 feet or, whatever it needed, just barely. I see Rick's comment. Maybe Kenny can help. Welcome, Rick, another Perth grad. Kenny can't help me with math or English, I don't think. Maybe his wife can, but he can't. We had a nice talk on the phone last week as well, Rick, before we played golf one day last week. What was I talking about? Oh, yeah. Exit velocity. What does it matter? A dribbler up the middle is a base hit as well as a 115-mile-an-hour single. When did this become important? I swear to God, we may need a paternity test because Kevin Mensch may be somehow related to me somehow. A DNA test. His views on the game today are like mine. What are we doing? Wow. Rob Manfred. Thank God Rob Manfred says no automated umpires in 2025. Now, that doesn't mean there won't be a challenge system. And you know what? I might be able to live, again, I'm trying to give a little bit of ground and not be a hard ass like I tend to be. I'm trying to give a little, right? Because I'm okay with human error. And baseball umpires make mistakes. I'm okay with that. I guess I could live with the challenge system. I've watched a couple of games where it happens. I don't know if there's college. Not sure where it was, but it was very good baseball, very high level baseball. I can't remember. I caught it on Facebook. Several times I've gone through and you get these videos, and it's a rabbit hole, by the way. But the system is so quick. You know, there's a pitch. Batter or catcher does a little tap on the head. The umpire does the same thing, looks back. 2 seconds later, we got a call back, and here we go. Yes, it's a strike. No, it's not a strike. Maybe I can live with that. Maybe. If it's happening on every pitch, maybe you only get so many challenges. But he would be happy with that. But he still talks about robot umpires. I mean, most of the umpires are very good. So anyway, Rob Manfred says no to robo umpires in 2025. Rob Manfred also is talking about Nike's new MLB uniforms. And if you've seen them, some of them are atrocious. By the way, it's not just the fit is a bad look. When they sweat, it looks like it's stuck to them like a freaking wet T-shirt contest. And some of these city, and this isn't on Nike necessarily, this is on MLB. And I don't think, you know, the commissioner is only addressing these bad uniforms and the bad lettering, the bad sweat through, the sweat stains. I mean, the Yankees' home uniforms seem to look all right. The road uniforms look terrible. But how about let's address some of the cityscape uniform. It's a city. I think it's cityscape they use as the term. Some of these things are just, they look like higher softball uniforms at best or at their worst. What is this? Cityscape. Again, the Yankees better not have one. The Mets have already rolled one out. I saw Cleveland's the other day. It was god awful. And you're doing this only to sell more merchandise. That's it. There's no other reason to do this, right? I mean, unless I'm missing a reason. Totally sell out the game. I'm looking at some of these right now, and it is just, it's atrocious. I wish I could share these. I'm on the wrong computer. I can't share these things. That's the 76ers. We won't get on them. Basketball, same thing. Just stop with the freaking wearables that you want me to buy. I'm not buying this. Maybe a 16-year-old kid is buying it. The A's, he also talked about the A's plan to play their games in 2025 to 2028, maybe 2029 at the AAA Stadium in Sacramento where the Bees play. I'm sorry, the Bees don't. There was a Sacramento Bees franchise for a while, but it's the River Cats. It's Sutter Health Park. He says they're actually constructing a separate building adjacent to the stadium that will be the home clubhouse. They're renovating the visiting clubhouse. There's going to be new artificial turf installed. They're upgrading the camera capability. Listen, I might actually watch A's games to just see how bad this is. They're still on schedule for Vegas for 28, but this could go through 25. The seating capacity right now, I think, is around, I want to say it's around 4,000, but they're looking to have 13,000. Maybe it's 7,000 now. Who we got here? Chris F. Grave, our Toronto correspondent. Thank you, Chris. Chris was instrumental, actually, in me getting Kevin Mensch this morning. And hopefully Kevin is going to pass the word because, as he said, and I've known this because of, the friendship I developed with Byron Williams and Jim Jeffcoat from National Streaming Sports, that the Dallas-Fort Worth area is just teeming with ex-athletes. And Kevin was talking about this morning. And he's going to see if he can get me a few people to be on. Anyway, what do you got here? Jeff Reardon, as a youngster in 1974, once struck out 21 men in a complete game performance. It had to be in the minor leagues, I'm assuming. Or 1974, probably before he was even in professional baseball, I'm guessing, right, Chris? Jeff Reardon pitched with the Mets, with the Expos, with the Twins. Really good closer at one point in time for sure, and one of the best beards in baseball. Rick loved Kevin's take on the game today. All the stuff we talk about here, the idiots and the showboating. He cracked Rick up about having a teammate be the reason he got hit by a pitch. Isn't that the truth? I've talked about it here a lot. Yeah. If who's the guy? Who was the king of the bat flippers there for the Jose Batista? Man, if I'm hitting behind him, if I get hit by a pitch by this guy, I'm gonna go punch him in the mouth. Kevin's takes were so close to mine. Bring him in as a co-host on his show. Oh, I had a blast this morning. I really did. Thank you, Rick, for that. Hello, Drew. Drew finished food shopping in Crazy Clifton Park. What I missed? We've just been talking a little bit about, not a lot, Drew. We talked a little bit about some of Rob Manfred's comments yesterday about the uniforms and the Sacramento Stadium. I've just talked about a few things that we might get into today. 40 years of the Tigers, since the Tigers 35-5 start. What a great team that was. I did talk about my head exploding, seeing yet another headline in The Athletic today about Onel Cruz. Just repeat it one more time. Onel Cruz puts on X-Velocity show with 3 hits over 115 miles an hour. Nobody cares. So, Drew, thanks for tuning in this morning. I know you don't often make it to the Friday morning show. I'm glad you were there. You had some good comments to share with my guest this morning. Kevin was brilliant. We didn't even get in. I didn't even go down the road of questioning. I was probably going to go down because we just kept taking little side streets. And Kevin was a lot of fun. And I do thank Chris for helping me get him on as well. So, again, we're just talking about what's going on in baseball in general. Right now, I've just been looking at the wonderful commissioners. By the way, the fact that he said no robot umpires in 2025. Well, thank you, Mr. Manfred, because that's a brilliant idea. There's JB. JB, I did give you some kudos at the top of the show. You weren't here. You did call me out, and check out JB's stuff from the Back It Up Binge podcast and anything he may post there. Some really good old games, by the way, JB. I watched last night an awesome Bob Prince narrated narration about the 1970 National League Baseball season and the Pirates season. Bob Prince was announcer for the Pirates for years. Great baseball voice. But anyway, JB, you called me out last week about being a little hard on my team. And odd, I guess, coming from an Orioles fan. But listen, I was worried about Luis Gil. He's pitching like an all-star right now. He's got his control under control a bit. 2 walks yesterday and a really, I think it was yesterday or the day before. Lost track of time this last week. And pitching, like I said, pitching like an all-star. Give up 1 hit. Pitching great. Soto's, again, I got a couple issues with Soto, but he's hitting up a storm. Judge is now back. Rizzo's played well. Still worried about left field a little bit. I got some worry, but this team is, playing better baseball than I thought they would at this point. I get my belly to stop bouncing the freaking table. How about that, Keith? So anyway, thank you, JB, for getting my head on straight. And I'm back behind my Yankees, and your Orioles are going down. Johnny Cueto pitching well in the Texas minor league system as he warms up. Listen, they need all they can get. Rangers, I think they've lost 4 in a row, right? We'll get to the standings here in a second. 4 straight, 3 games under 500. Where is my boy from Oklahoma? Alan. Astros are quietly back in this race because the Mariners and the Rangers can't get out of their own way. They're going to regret this early season not pulling away from the Astros more. That when the Astros were down, the Astros are now pulled within 6 games of 500. They're only 4.5 games out, 7-3 in their last 10 again. So they played 3 really good weeks of baseball. The Rangers and the Mariners are going to regret not putting their foot on their throat when they had a chance. Mark my words. And they may need Johnny Cueto. They got 2 pitchers older than me. You see how the Orioles won last night? Yeah, on the what was the situation there again? It was a interference call, right? I did see this. I'm going to watch it again while we're talking because I still don't. Again, umpires are going to make mistakes, and I'm watching it right now as we. So it's 9th inning, pop up to the shortstop.
They call it infield fly rule.
Infield fly rule.
Interference. They're calling him out. They're calling, I believe.
That's just terrible. The game's over. Where's the interference?
Wait a minute. Sure.
Am I missing something?
Andrew did not do anything intentionally to deal at all with Henderson because he never saw him. Look, he doesn't know where Henderson is.
Oh, my God. The guy's just wandering back to second base. Oh, JB, you guys get the easy one. Well, you probably would have won the game anyway, but come on. Guys, I'd love somebody to comment and tell me that the umpires are right here. And I stick up for umpires, and I'm okay with human errors. This is just bad. That's horrible. That is how the game ends. Sorry, I got to turn that off so I didn't watch the video before then. I'm glad I gave it to you. Drew says it looks at the standings. AL Central is in place. It's the place to be. Both are flying high, by the way. I did talk about the Phillies briefly. We'll go through them division by division here in a second, Drew. But yes, the Guardians playing well. The Royals playing really good baseball. Twins have fallen back again. Even the White Sox now have started to regress from their 1 week of good baseball. Good stuff. And Drew says there's a reason why Cueto's in the minors, yet another innings eater. He's another guy. How old is he? Do we know? Johnny Cueto. Rangers are in trouble, man. If they got to rely on Cueto and Scherzer to get healthy and DeGrom to get healthy. Dunning's hurt. Chris says, well, it would have been 1989 before the Rangers almost had an outfield of Ivan Calana, Juan Gonzalez, Sammy Sosa. This morning has Texas on his brain. What would have been 1989? No way. What are you talking about? Oh, you're not talking about You're not talking about Jeff Reardon. What are you talking about, Chris? What would have been 1989? I lose track of what I'm talking about, apparently. That would have been a bad outfield. Sammy Sosa at that point in time weighed about 140 pounds. You got traded from Texas to the you get traded from Texas to the White Sox or the other way around. I don't remember. Before he went to the Cubs and became Sammy Sosa, he was a skinny little. Yeah, I wonder what happened there. Pete Avancalana, by the way, was a manager up here, Chris. I don't know if I told you, with the Tri-City Valley Cats. They're an independent league now. They were in an independent league, the Frontier League. They were part of the Astros farm system for 20 plus years, almost 30 years, I think, before Major League Baseball contracted, 40 minor league baseball franchises 2 or 3 or 4 years ago now. But Pete was not, I don't think Pete was asked back this year. He did a good job. Cueto's 38. Boy, fits right in with Scherzer. I guess DeGrom is the youngster. He's like the RFK Jr. Candidate here. Who, by the way, is who's trying to get the youth vote. A 70-year-old guy with a worm in his head trying to get the youth. He's the youth vote this year in the presidential election. You should come down here, Chris. We have a lot of fun, man. It's just unbelievable what goes on here. 13, the number for Lucky Ohtani. Yeah, but you know what? Am I the only one, Drew? I think I'm surprised it's the stolen bases for Ohtani. I mean, I don't know that he's been known for stealing bases, has he? Let me pull up his numbers real quick. Glad you brought this up because I keep thinking about this. And every time I see that number, I think to myself, he doesn't steal bases. And let me see if I'm wrong. Well, 10, 12. He did have 26. Okay. 26 and 21. 20 and 23. Am I all right? I just don't remember stealing bases. Ohtani's having a great year. Soto's having a great year. Ohtani's hitting 354. 13 homers puts him within striking distance of the lead. I think Ozuna has 15. What about RBIs? Where's RBIs? Crap, you're not gonna stolen bases. Yeah. I mean, the stolen bases just piss me off because, I don't want to. It's artificial. When you artificially change games, I have a hard time with the stats like stolen bases. I really do. It's interesting, Ohtani's 13 and no caught stealings. But it's much harder to catch a guy stealing if a guy throws over to first base once, and now I can take a lead of about, 2 car lengths. Amazing. Where's Ohtani stand RBIs? Wow. Where is he? Oh, I'm on the 0 and up, so I guess it'll take me forever to find him, right? Jake Cronenworth is tied with him with 34 RBIs. But this early in the season, Alex Baum leads the national. I'm sorry, Ozuna also leads in RBIs at 47. He's hitting 320. We could have a triple crown race here. A little early, right? But Big Men Who Can Run's a fun topic. Don't ever bring up Joey Gallo on this show, Chris. Ever. So I'm a little bitter yet over Joey Ohtani's time in New York. Ohtani, Joey Gallo, Canseco stole more than 29 bases in 89 in 1 year in 89. He went 40-40. Canseco. It's always an interesting topic for sure. Top 5 hitters, Ohtani. My favorite name to say, Arraez. Oh, gosh. Let's look at the hitters. Jackson Profar. How about Jackson Profar, Drew? He's only got 178 at bats, but he's hitting 337 for the Padres. Lamont Wade, 339. How come Wade doesn't come up on my list here? Not sure. How come I don't get Lamont Wade up here? Weird. Hello, Ralph Williams. How are you? Good to have you. Thumbs up. Have a go. Have a go. Oh, my God. Oh, you didn't finish your comment. I see. You have a good weekend and holiday too, Ralph. Ralph Williams from RW Media, who I mentioned at the top. Check his stuff out on Facebook, YouTube. No longer on the radio with the Sports Corner with Smoke and Jim Frazier, Tuesdays 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern. But plenty of places to catch that show and other stuff Ralph does. I'll share that show as well. So you have a great weekend as well, Ralph. Sure, I know. Well, we don't know. Why do I say Jackson Profar? I do this all the time. It just seems like that's what it ought to be. Who we got here? Michael Gott. Good to have you with us. That is the flag of what, Michael? Where are you checking in from today? Michael's a new viewer, I believe, at least a new commenter, if not a new viewer. Where are you checking in from? Rick Sager up in New York. Good to have you with us, buddy. Always appreciate the stars. Rick doing some great stuff up there with the emergency management system in Montgomery County. If you're still doing that, I hope you are, Rick, because I know you do a very good job at it. MLB, yeah, I'm looking at ESPN site. So they probably, I'm guessing that Wade. That's funny, though. I wouldn't think. If you've got the qualifying hitters, why wouldn't he be on this list? Which theoretically, I think these are qualified hitters as well. That's the ESPN. ESPN's, become quite a joke, to be honest with you. Anyway, I'm really curious. I hope Michael comments back because I want to know what that flag is and where Michael's calling us or checking us out from. We're getting into the standings here in a second. What we got here? Open invite, Keith, for next Saturday to the North Jersey Strat Club. Oh, my gosh. I wish I could get down there, man. It's too far to go. What are you doing? Oh, you guys get to get Drew. Maybe we should make a road trip. I don't think I can do it next Saturday, though. Oh, I'm playing golf. Got a golf tournament next Saturday. Remind me, JB. You guys all get together in person. Drew's a big strat guy too. I play mostly the online version now, which is fun, but you can't manage inning to inning, right? You set your lineups, you set your strategy, you pick your teams, you play within a salary structure. We're just finishing up this year's mystery tournament where you play the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s. I've had my best year. I'll probably finish in the top. There's like 300 people. And I'll probably finish in the top 30, but I'm not going to make the finals, which is 24 teams. I'm headed into the finals of the 3rd out of 5 leagues. So I've had a good run, but the problem is the other 2 leagues, the teams finished with 100 losses. So it kind of beat me up a lot. Ralph will tell me the full story, what happened to the radio station whenever you're ready. Thank you for the shout out. Always give you a shout out, Ralph, as I promised. I think you and I have talked about the full story, but maybe there's more. I know you and I have chatted about it. If there's more to tell, I'll be happy to hear it. Chris, do the White Sox need to sell off at the deadline? Listen, there's starting to be rumors already about some guys is like Vlad Jr. Is coming up in rumors of going before the trade deadline. The closer from Mason Miller, the closer from Oakland. The Yankees are supposedly loving him. If I'm the White Sox, I'm trading everybody. I mean, they traded everybody except a few guys last year. But, if they can get Robert happy, if they can get healthy, rather, maybe Vaughn needs to go. He's not playing well. Good buy low candidate for some team, maybe. But there's nothing going on there. And maybe this tells you if Chris Getz is as analytic as it gets, then this is not the way to go out building a baseball team. Injuries, everybody has injuries. That's not the cause for this. Not all by itself. Oops, sorry, I wanted to catch this, Drew. I'll get yours in a second. Michael's in St. George flag, England, combined with my country. Oh, I see. Like your states of Yorkshire, over the pond here. Excellent, Michael. Great to have you with us. And maybe you're catching us on Let's Talk Sports. I know that your countryman, Dan Harris, was a good friend of mine, and we miss him a lot. And if you're coming in through anything to do with my good friend Dan Harris, he's still sending people my way. What a great, great guy that is. Who do you root for, by the way? If you aren't telling me, tell me. I see you got a couple more comments in there, but let me know who your team is here in the States. I love talking to guys in England. And Michael, we have a few that tune in to this show, to the Sunday Stream of Consciousness, even to the interview shows I do on Friday mornings. Not so much for the college football show, but you're welcome, and we're happy to have you here. And please feel free to comment and like and share TGI Sports Talk and share this video. HR leaders Kyle Tucker, one of the underrated guys in baseball. Henderson at 16. Judge, who's picked it up nicely here and gone ahead of Soto with 15, and Soto and Ohtani with 13 apiece. We'll let Drew put the rest of those stats up, then I don't have to go to that page. Used to watch baseball back in the early 90s. I hope that's 90s over here. But now no TV coverage? Really? That's a shame. Well, I will tell you this, Michael. Roku has now got the Sunday morning package. And I got to believe if you stream Roku, you can get at least those. They have an 11 o'clock game, I think. I don't know how many dates. I think 15 or 16 games. They just got that contract. I don't remember who had it previously, but Roku, you should be able to get those games. Apple, Peacock does some streaming as well. So if you do streaming, Michael, you should be able to get at least some games. I also think you can, if you want to be a Yankee fan, which you probably should be, Michael. I'm recruiting as many Englanders as I can, Brits, if you will, whatever you prefer to be called. I'll call you that as I kiss up to you now. I'm recruiting as many as I can to be Yankee fans. And I believe the Yes app is available to watch games on as well. And probably the MLB package you probably can't get over there. But I think those other outlets, you should be able to see some games. Stolen base leaders, De La Cruz, which is not helping his Reds team, which they're still 10 games under 500, I think. He's having a great year, though. I think he's hitting only about 260, but I know he's got double-digit home runs, too, I believe. Could be on his way to a 30-30 campaign. Caballero's played well, I think, replacing the I don't even want to mention Franco. I had something else I was going to say about him, but we know why he was replaced. But he's done a good job replacing him. Although the Rays are in bad shape, man. 9.5 games out of first place already. Terang's still not caught. 18. I do have one of my fantasy teams. I don't know which one. I got one doing really well and two doing really bad. Fortunately, the one doing well is the one that is the most money. Witt, 16-6. Okuna and Jacob Young, 15-2. Those are, you know what? But here's the thing. It is so easy to steal bases today. Kevin Mensch said this morning, Ricky Henderson would steal 200 bases if he was playing today. 200. Easy. Once a guy throws over, it's over. I can't get excited about the stolen. I love stolen bases. Anybody who knows or has listened to me, I'm an American League fan. But growing up, I liked National League Baseball style of play better. Well, like Billy Martin, he managed like a National League manager. And I like stolen bases, hitting runs, and hitting behind a runner. All the things I complain about, nobody does today. But I'm not getting excited over these numbers when they're artificially inflated by the fact that we shortened the baseline. And don't tell me it doesn't matter, because it does. You can tell me it doesn't matter. I can't tell you what to do, guys. I'm not the boss of you. But, you know, and you can't, and if you throw over once, second, you know, you're done. You can throw over twice, but if you throw over once, are you throwing over a second time? Because you might as well just give them second base then. Oh, man. I got to get to the standings here. Well, I'm glad you are watching, and I'm going to go through the standings for you now, Michael, just so you get an idea of what's going on here in the States. Hopefully you can get some of those streaming outlets I mentioned, and tune into the show Friday afternoons. Well, Friday nights for you. White Sox already sold off before the season started. Good point. Gotta love Yorkshire pudding. Did Yorkshire invent this pudding, or is it just named after it? What's the deal? Michael, since you're here, you can give us an update. I believe the Naughties. Is that true? The Naughties. That's good. I thought he was talking about the naughty 90s. No real allegiance, but I have a soft spot for American League teams. And historically, I've watched a lot of historic documentaries on the old Brooklyn Dodgers and Ebbets Field. Great time in baseball. Beautiful. Interest. There's no place like Ebbets Field, or was no place, right in the middle of a neighborhood in Brooklyn. Well, I guess the Bronx was at 1.2. Yankee Stadium. Here's the run differentials from Drew. We're going to talk about that right now. We're going to go through the standings just to help Michael out a little bit too. We appreciate it, Michael, and I hope you'll share the show. Share and go to TGI Sports Talk. Follow the page, like the page. Get to the 3 little dots. And invite your friends. Everybody does that. We'll get to 3,000 in no time. We're now over 2,000. Views are through the roof. Let's go through these standings real quick. It's already 3:44. I might go a little bit long. I don't know. We talked about the AL East. The Yankees are 35-17. Great run differential, which I'm sure is in Drew's thing. Here it is. It's 84. 8-2 in the last 10. They pulled 3 games ahead of the Orioles. Sorry, JB. The Red Sox have won 4 in a row again. I don't know what to make of the Red Sox. The more they get hurt, the better they play. They get guys healthy, they play badly. I still would expect this team to finish last in this division, because I got to believe the Rays are a little better. I think Drew and I were both maybe expecting a little the bubble to finally burst on the Rays. I know Drew was more than I. -40. They're only a game under 500. A -40 run differential. Not good. Lost 4 in a row again. 9.5 games out of first. The Blue Jays, 10.5 out. Schneider. Memorial Day's Monday. Am I going to get my prediction in a year late or not? Probably not. Drew touched on the Central. The Guardians continue to surprise, and the Royals. The Tigers were my surprise team there, and they've lost 5 in a row, fallen 10 games behind. But the Royals are only a game and a half behind the Guardians. Both have won 6 in a row. One's 9-1, the other's 8-2. Really strong run differentials. The Twins have started to struggle again, 3-7 in their last 10, and they've fallen 6.5 back again. White Sox, by the way, 3-7 in their last 10. They're maybe getting back on that 121 loss track. I talked about the West already, the Mariners and Rangers. They just can't get out of their own way and put the Astros out of their misery. The Astros only 4.5 games out of first place. The Rangers, 24-27, the reigning world champions. I understand they got a lot of injuries as well. You have to be able to withstand injuries. It's a long season, 162 games. It's a marathon. You got to be prepared. It's a next man up kind of thing. You don't think the Yankees have had injuries? They're missing their ace. They're missing DJ. Yorkshire pudding. What do we got here? Yorkshire pudding. Yes, from Yorkshire. All they are, eggs and plain flour mixed together. That's it. Then bake in oven to rise, add gravy. Oh, man, that sounds really good. I'm going to get my wife on that, Michael. What's Drew got? Alec Baum. I was just going to talk about the Red Hot Phillies. Alec Baum, to me, is broken out. Last year, he had a really good year. But Alex Baum is really, really taken off this year. And I love the way this kid swings the bat. Because he's hitting for average. He hits for power. And he's doing very, very well and helping this Phillies team is looking very strong. Drew mentioned the run differential of 93. They've won 6 in a row again, 9-1 in their last 10. They've pulled 6 games ahead of the Braves now. I mean, the Braves are 11 games over 500. That's not terrible. 617. Nationals falling back. The Mets 15 games out of first place. There's a team you got to see sell. Pete Alonso has got to be sold this offseason or this season. They're not going to sign him to some, he's not getting Judge money. He's not getting Soto money. He's not getting, this is Dave Kingman in 2024. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry, Met fans. If you'd like Pete Alonso, God bless you. This team should be selling. And watch out for names like Alonso, Nemo, McNeil. These are all guys who may be gone come the 1st of August. The Marlins, 7-3 in their last 10, playing a little better baseball. The Brewers still lead the Central, mostly because the Cubs can't get it going. Watch out for the Cardinals again. This is another example of the Cardinals, who I liked in this division. I think I had the Cubs winning. I don't have it right in front of me. I think I got the Cubs winning and the Cards getting a wild card. The Cards had almost buried themselves early. They've now 8-2 in their last 10. They pulled 3 games within 500, only 5 behind the Brewers, who have stumbled a bit of late, as have the Cubs. The Pirates are the Pirates. The Reds, this happens a lot. You may see a managerial change here, by the way. Be careful. A lot was expected of this team. A lot of times young teams take a step ahead, and then they got to take a step back before they can start ahead again. This looks like a classic example of that. David Bell, I'm not saying he should be fired. I'm telling you to keep an eye on that situation. Dodgers continue to pace the West, 6.5 games ahead of the Padres, who are a game over 500. The Giants trying to get back in this race, 7-3 in their last 10. Another one of my out of the pack teams. The Diamondbacks, again, the 2 participants in the World Series last year are combined 5 games under 500. And a combined 11 games out of first place. And the Rockies had a good week week before last. Put a little milk in the mix too. Can I have a beer with that, Michael? A little Bass Ale, maybe. I was gonna say Guinness, but I know that's not you. On base percentage. Listen, this is a stat I can still live with. On base percentage has always been important. Even OPS I can deal with because it combines two very important stats. Stats that mean something still. Batting average, slugging percentage, on base percentage, and in turn, OPS, all important stats. That's not analytics. I mean, it is in a bit, but they're still counting stats that we've grown up with and always mattered. RBIs matter a lot to me. Runs scored matter a lot to me. Can't score runs. The other thing, there's a stat. I don't know what that we call it, but it's the runs you generate. I'd like to know what a guy drives in when he's not driving in himself. I mean, one of the great stats guys used to drive in 100 runs. Thurman Munson drove in 100 runs without hitting 20 home runs. Tommy Herr, we talked about this a few weeks ago. I think guys who drove in 100 without hitting 10 home runs. Because you're hitting 40, you're driving yourself in 40 times. So Lamont Wade is at 481 there. Jackson Profar. I did that for you, Drew. Jerickson Profar. 431. Betts 430. I wonder how Betts is going to hold up all year with the stress of playing shortstop day in and day out. Most demanding position on a field. Betts, so far, he's handled it pretty well. Alonso is repped by Boris. Yeah. You know what that means, Drew, is that come next April, he'll still be sitting out there as a free agent. Mets aren't signing him. I'm sure the Mets aren't signing him. Are you Keith? And yes, I am Keith. And is chat now using? And is the chat now using the newish rules to quicken up the game? Do you feel it's made the game better? No. Right now, I feel like I'm watching boring baseball in less amount of time. Chris, again, it's well documented here on my shows, and I know you're newer, so I don't like as you notice my rant here about stolen bases. I don't like the new rules with stolen bases, making the bases larger, limiting the times you can throw to first base. I don't think we need to eliminate shifts. We need to teach guys how to approach hitting better, the way it was approached historically. It's funny. Both conversations I had the last 2 weeks with Billy Martin Jr. and Kevin Mensch on one-on-one with Keith Engle, we talked about all of this stuff, and they agree with me almost unanimously. The pitch clock, it's okay, but it's causing pitching injuries. It is leading to pitching injuries. Rob Manfred says no. The trend started in 2014. The pitch clock has nothing to do with it. He may be right, but the fact that the guys are being taught to go out and throw nothing but gas for as long as they can go is. So the state of the game is fairly boring most times, Michael, unfortunately. I'm still a baseball guy. I still watch the Yankees play almost every night. But I think what we've got, because of the plethora of strikeouts, walks, and home runs, the three true outcomes we talk about all the time, the game is not nearly as exciting as it was back in the day. I know I sound like an old guy. Get off my lawn, kids. But basically, by speeding up the game, which they needed to do, I'm just watching a boring game most nights and less time. So, again, that's the Cliff Notes Michael. We'll go into more detail. We'll go into more detail at a different time. Or if you got a specific question, I'll certainly deal with that. Listen, and I can't say this guy's name either, Rick. Drew. Amanaja. I'm never going to say this guy's name right. How great has this guy been for the Cubbies? I did talk about him a little bit earlier. Ranger Suarez has been dominant for the Phillies. Phillies might be the best team in baseball. Great lineup for the most part. Not bad defense when Schwarber's not in the outfield, if he's shouldn't ever be allowed out there. Pitching is good. The bullpen's been good. Turner Gill is a quarterback for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Luis Gill has pitched tremendous recently. And JB got on me last week for being a little down on my team, and I decided to be a little more positive, at least for the moment, while we're leading by 3 games. But again, I worry too much on the reliance of home runs to score runs. When you go into slumps, then you don't score runs. But Luis Gill has done a great job of replacing, well, not replacing, but helping fill the loss of Garrett Cole. To me, if I was making an all-star team today, Gill would be on it. He's really cut down on his walks. Well, 2 walks the other day, 7 innings. I think he pitched 7 innings the other day. 1 hit, 1 hit, 2 walks. Been unhittable the last couple of starts. These are all good numbers. I don't have a problem with WHIP. I don't have a problem with, the ERA leaders and whatnot. We're starting to turn into Sunday. Michael, you got to tune in Sunday morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern, which for you, I don't know what time that is. I can't do math. 1:30 in the afternoon, I don't know. 5 hours difference. Our Sunday stream of consciousness, we talk about all kinds of stuff. So many people have Yorkshire pudding with a Sunday roast afterwards. Pudding as the starters, so a beer is fine too. Nice. Excellent. Thank you, Michael. Beer goes with almost everything. Now you're going to piss me off, Drew. No, these still matter. These numbers do matter. Just kidding. Gill, 143. Listen, his problems, mostly in any game, early in the year when he was struggling a little bit, or a little inconsistent, if you will, maybe is better. His problem was walks. It wasn't guys hitting. That's for sure. Dylan Cease has done a great job of rehabilitating his career in San Diego. Suarez, as I talked about, is just building off what he started to build last year. Glasnow's adjusted to LA very well, and Wheeler, another part of that great Philly rotation with Nola, and Suarez. Amanaga. Why can't these guys just name them Smith and Jones? Amanaga. I can't hooked on phonics. Drew, sorry about the pudding. No, it's fine. You're good, Michael. Oh my God. Let me look at the matchups this weekend real quick, and we can talk about a few other things if you want, but let me get to the schedule and the matchups we'll look at the pitching matchups tonight and the series matchups for the weekend. Atlanta is going to be at Pittsburgh. Ray Kerr against Bailey Falter tonight. Toronto. By the way, one of these games is probably on Apple or somewhere. If you want to get Apple real quick downloaded on your smart TV, Michael, you might be able to watch a game tonight. Toronto at Detroit. This weekend, Alec Manoah against Matt Manning today. Seattle and Washington. George Kirby, to me, one of the underrated pitchers. I like George Kirby a lot. I like the Seattle pitching staff a lot. He'll be facing Mackenzie Gore for the Nationals. Kansas City will be at Tampa Bay. Seth Lugo, great signing by the Royals. Royals have surprised me. I was not impressed with their offseason. Drew was, more than I was, to his whatever. Sorry. They're at Tampa Bay. The Seth Lugo against Sean Armstrong. The Dodgers will be at the Reds. James Paxton. Again, whenever I see James Paxton, I don't know, he may be pitching very well, but I see James Paxton or I see any other lefty that has had horrible years up and down. You teach your kid. If you're a young man and you've got kids, strap their right arm to their body and teach them to be left-handed. Because you can pitch forever. Anyway, James Paxton against Graham Ashcroft. The Brewers at the Red Sox, Bryce Wilson against Cutter Crawford. The Giants go against the Mets, Kyle Harrison against Christian Scott. The Orioles at the White Sox, Corbin Burns against Chris Flexen. I still think the Orioles are the best team in baseball, JB, if you're still with me. JB didn't give me any more information on that Stratomatic group you belong to either. Send me some information. Got to have a link or something. You guys got to have a web page, don't you? Anyway, Baltimore, that's Burns at Flexen. Texas at Minnesota. Jose Urena against Bailey Ober. Cubs at the Cardinals, the Red Hot Cardinals. The aforementioned guy's name I can't say. Naga against Miles Nicholas. Oh my God, I can't say anybody's name today now. Phillies at the Rockies. Sanchez against Block. The team formerly known as the Indians are at the Angels. Logan Allen against Patrick Sandoval. The Astros, the red hot Astros, by the way. I know they're still under 500, but you let them back in the race, Mariners and Ranger fans. I'm sorry. They're at the A's. Justin Verlander against Ross Stripling. Miami Marlins against the Diamondbacks. Braxton Garrett against Zach Gallen. And the Yankees. A weekend series in San Diego. Late nights for Keith if he can stay awake. It'll be Carlos Rendon, somebody I have ripped since the day he was signed, pitching pretty well for the Yankees right now against Yu Darvish. Who are the front runners for the World Series in both leagues? Favorites and so on, or is it too early to say? Not too early to say. I mean, the Dodgers in the National League, the Phillies, the Braves can't be counted out. I mean, to me, those are the three teams that are the class of the National League, Michael, and one of those teams will be the favorite. Now, with that said, you'll probably see somebody like the Cubs or Brewers crash the party and blow me up. Maybe even the Padres finally get it together. I don't know. But those three teams are the class of the National League. In the American League, the Yankees playing really good baseball, second best record in baseball to the Phillies. So they got to be considered, one of the front runners right now. The Orioles, who I think, as I said a second ago, I think they're maybe the best team in baseball. I picked the Orioles and the Dodgers, and I picked the Orioles to win before the season started as a Yankee fan. The Guardians are a bit of a surprise, so they could be an outsider to get in. Last year's reigning champions, Rangers, I didn't like them before the season started. I don't like them now. The Royals, I don't expect to keep up this pace, but, if you're going to see a surprise, and don't count the Astros out, 6 games under 500, playing better baseball the last 2-3 weeks, they got a chance to get back in this race. Don't count them out, but I'll stick with my Orioles and Dodgers predictions so far. Drew. Tune in Sunday because we're all over the map, Michael. So looks like the Braves have been. Sales pitched well. I mean, look at the Braves have struggled a bit the last few weeks, but Sales pitched very well. I know that I was very critical of that signing, or that trade, I should say. Didn't understand it. He pitched decently for part of the season last year, but he hadn't had a good year in what did we come up with? I mean, like 4 or 5 years since Chris Sale was Chris Sale. So right now he's pitching well. If he stays healthy, then he's going to be a good pickup, especially since the Braves have lost Strider for the year. Fried seems to be hurt all the time, an injury waiting to happen, it seems, a lot of the times. Alex Manoah may have finally come back from the yips. It's possible. And, listen, this team needs a lot of things, right? But Manoah would go a long ways towards helping this team right the ship. They sent him, if I'm not mistaken, they sent him to rookie league or Class A last year for part of the season. So it looks like he's, as Drew said, over his case of the yips for a little bit. What else? What else you guys got? I did want to talk about this real quick. Still a possibility of professional players playing in the 28 Olympics. I don't know how they can do it. I don't know how baseball's ever going to shut down during the season for 2 weeks. I guess I'd like to see it, but I don't know how it can happen. One of the reasons I'd like to see it happen because I'm a big fan of the baseball classic, the World Baseball Classic, which we'll have again in 2026. And Lone Depot Park in Miami will host the finals of the 6th edition of this WBC. And they'll also be played in other venues. They'll be played in the Tokyo Dome in Japan, the Hiram Bythorn Stadium in San Juan, Minute Maid Park in Houston. Semifinals will take place in Miami and Houston, which I think will both host the games for the first time. So again, that's something to look for. I really, really am a big fan of the WBC. In fact, Michael, I think if I remember, your Britain team got their first win, I think, in a WBC the last time around. They got to work on their uniforms, though. If I remember right, the lettering was falling off some of these guys. They need to work on the uniforms. They probably had Nike, who did this year's uniforms, put them together. I'm not really sure. All right. I think we're probably done here today, guys. A great hour. Hour plus, I guess. One more comment here. What do you got, Michael? There was talk of an MLB game being played over here in the UK. Would that be would go to that? I think, where are they playing? I think there's a game. I want to say there is a game. MLB in UK. Where are they? When are they playing this? 2024. There you go. I'll give you the dates right now. June 8th and 9th. It's a Saturday and Sunday. You can get the Phillies and the Mets. Michael, you heard it here. No finder's fee necessary. Guys, it's been a great hour. Michael, thanks for joining us. I hope you'll join us Sunday for the Stream of Consciousness. I want to thank my guest again this morning on 101 with Keith Engle, Kevin Mensch, former Texas Ranger and Milwaukee Brewer. We had a great conversation. Check that out, as we'll repost that several times. And we'll be back on Sunday. And we thank everybody who's been watching us here. Guys, have a great weekend. It's been a great show again. And it's going to be a great little holiday weekend. Remember what this weekend's all about, this holiday weekend, and what the Holiday Monday is all about as you enjoy it with your picnics and whatnot. We'll talk about it again Sunday morning. Have a great weekend, guys. Bye-bye.